Hello everyone, this is FIDE Master Viktor Nestroev. Thank you for coming for my webinar. Today the topic is intuitive sacrifice. Okay, please let me know if the sound works. You can see not only me, but also the diagram. Okay, looks like everything works. Fine. Okay, guys, today we have 37 attendees and it's gonna be a record. So that's why I want to congratulate everyone. And for the next webinar, I really want to even hit this record. So please, if you enjoy the webinar and then you know that your friends would like to join it too, please invite them. You'll do me a favor. Okay, fine. So people who don't know me, I'm a FIDE master from Russia. So currently my rating is 2252. And guys who attend this webinar for the first time, please tell me which country are you from and what's your ELO rating. So for example, if you play in FIDE tournaments, then it's a FIDE rating. Or if you don't play any OTB tournaments, then just your chess.com ELO. My screen isn't visible. What do you mean? Nimish, looks like I'm sharing the screen. I hope you can see the board. Let me make a few moves on the board. d4, d5, knight of 3, 6. Does it work? I think it should. No? Okay. Okay, looks like everything works. Sweden unrated. That's quite good. So these webinars are designed for people, for players maybe from 1200 to 2000. So if you are somewhere between, then it's good. So Gurab from Bangladesh is almost 2000. So I believe you will enjoy the webinar. Okay, so fine. Before we start the webinar, let me show so let me show you something. So now you see my browser. So first of all, this is my chess.com profile. And if you want, you can send me a friend request. I'll definitely accept it. If so, you won't miss anything. There is also our Tricks of Chess educational group. This is the link. I recommend you to join, but it's up to you. From time to time, I post there some educational videos. And also, I conduct tournaments. For example, this week is the last round of our Honest Chess League. The last round, and actually, I know the results, who is the winner, but I'll tell you, I'll publish it on Monday. What else? As for my YouTube channel, this is the link. So this is the link of my YouTube channel. I highly recommend you to subscribe. For example, I recently posted a new video about a best chess player of all time. Unfortunately, something went wrong with this video, and I had to edit it again. So now it's really fine. And also, you may find webinars there. This is the list of all my webinars. This webinar is webinar number 57. So I already conducted 56 webinar. If you want to watch all previous, they are on chess.com. So there is a question about the next tournament that I'm going to conduct. It will be in January. I think that in December, everybody would like to celebrate the Merry Christmas and of course New Year. This is what people usually celebrate in former Soviet Union. As for Simul, okay, let's do Simul next week. Maybe next week or the week after the next week. I'll think about it. But yes, the Simul will be soon. And one more thing. This is my website, tricksofchess.teachable.com, where you can find my online courses. If you're interested in it, you can enroll in it. And my chess.com blog. And for example, this is what I published. It's a new post with the PGN analysis. So I often publish PGN analysis of the games that I analyzed. And if you want, you can download it. Yes, there should be the link. So you click here. Then you choose PGN and then click download on this button. Okay, fine. Let me send you the link. This is the link. And one more thing that I wanted to tell you, and actually this is what we should start with. Those of you who follow my Instagram account may found that yesterday I made a post about intuitive sacrifice. So this is the link. And if you didn't read it, I highly recommend you to read because this is where I explain the game in which I played this intuitive sacrifice. However, first of all, when we decide what criteria this type of sacrifice should have, we must say that you should apply this sacrifice only in the better position. At the same time, the position must be difficult and sharp. And so why this sacrifice is called intuitive sacrifice? It's because it's impossible to calculate the options until the end of the combination. So it can happen due to two reasons. First of all, for example, of a lack of time, and the second, due to the complexity of the options. So you are not computer, so I mean, you can't calculate like engine can. So that's why it's okay. Let's trust your intuition. And of course, number 4, you may apply such a sacrifice in case if you have a good tactical vision. Okay, fine. So let me close it. And now I'll share the board. I upload the webinar to YouTube tomorrow. What about Blitz tournaments? I'm not sure if I want to organize such a tournament, maybe, but I don't recommend you to play Blitz. So guys, these webinars and many of my educational stuff are prepared for students so that they get better day by day or week by week. But if you play Blitz, yes, you can, but you can play it just for fun. Yes, so Blitz ruins chess. For example, I have a student from United Kingdom. I think he's in the web, or he participates in this webinar, and so it's highly prohibited for him to play Blitz because if so, then he gets used to play classical games as they are Blitz, and that's why he makes mistakes. And of course, this is how he cannot show all his strength. Okay. Yes, but maybe I'll conduct some several arenas on Lichess. Okay, fine. So what we are going to do today? We are going to analyze 3 games. So first, the game between Konstantin Sakaev and Sergei Rubelevsky. Second, the game between Garry Kasparov and Czech chess player whose name is Prishbul. And the third game is the game that was played by Mikhail Tal. I'm sure you know this is maybe the greatest player who. Okay, I can't say that he played intuitive sacrifice in every of his game, but he played it really often, and it's very often when he was right, and that sacrifice worked. Okay, just one more thing. I need to increase. Okay, fine. That's much better. I need to increase the font. Okay, so let's start. As for me, my favorite player is Garry Kasparov. Okay, so this is the game between Konstantin Sakaev and Sergei Rubelevsky, d4, d5. We don't care about the opening. So here, c4 looks like an ordinary queen's gambit, but d takes c4, so it's a queen's gambit accepted. Queen a4. Kind of a weird check, but the idea is not to capture on c4, but to make a pin. Then e4, c5, bishop takes c4, c takes d4, and he castles. So you see white developed his pieces instead of capturing the pawn back, but he takes it better. So knight a3 could make sense in this position with knight b5, and then he captures on d4. But b4 was played in that game. Bishop comes to d6. Now, if we take on d4, then just knight f6 can be played, and black continues his development. However, first Sakaev decided to play e5. Bishop goes to b8, bishop f4 to support the pawn, and then be able to capture on d4. Knight to e7, knight bd2, castle, rook f takes on e1 to support the e5. Knight b6, fork, but white was okay with it. He plays queen b3, and after knight c4, knight takes on c4, and then knight goes to d6. That was the idea. Okay, fine. So what happened then? Maybe in this position queen d5 could be played, but b5. I don't really understand why Sergei Rubelevsky played such a weak move. He probably wanted just to improve the bishop and put it to b7, but this is how he provoked white to play knight d6 immediately. Knight d6, bishop d6, e takes d6, knight f5, attacking the pawn, rook a d1. So now the pawn cannot be taken because of rook d4 and the strong pin, after which black loses the material. But black continues his development, bishop b7, knight takes d4. So to trade on d4 was good for black, but in this position he played bishop d5. And now I want to ask you what white should do here. This is the game played between Konstantin Sakaev and Sergei Rublevsky, 2 Russian grandmasters. So queen h3, queen h3 makes sense. Okay, Sheldon, can you explain your knight e6 idea? Okay, so let's analyze this option. So here, knight e6, but knight e6 doesn't work. No, of course, f takes e6, rook d5, e takes d5, queen d5. That could make sense, but we are down a rook, and there is no threats anymore. However, I think after knight e6, the most simple continuation is just to take the queen, knight takes d8, bishop takes d1. And then black is winning. The knight escapes, but the bishop escapes too. d7 doesn't make much progress for white. So no, knight e6 wasn't played. Can I enable coordinates? Yes, sure. Coordinates. No, looks like I have to save it. Okay, so when next time I upload, everything would work. So bishop d5 was played in the game, and because the topic is intuitive sacrifice, so here white decided to take. So yes, some of you here were absolutely correct. Yes, Inesh was absolutely right. It was queen d5. Queen h3 is a more logical move. However, in such a case, knight takes d4, then rook takes d4, and then black can successfully stop the d pawn. Who can tell me why not knight d6 in this position? What's wrong with this move? What do you think? Yeah, queen h3 is definitely the best place for the queen. Okay, Sheldon, I agree with you now. Okay, how do you know when you are unmuted or when your camera is on? Okay, actually, I see that my camera is on because it has a green icon, and the microphone also has a green icon. So in this position, knight c6. If now bishop c6, then rook d6, threatening to take. So what can he do? Queen b6 is too risky. Then it's a strong pin here. What can he do? Queen c7? Probably. But then just queen g3, and we are threatening to play bishop e5 or bishop h6. The same thing happens in case of queen c8. And then I would say that white is slightly better. Not much, but slightly better. If, for example, they don't take, but play queen c7, then we take on d5. The knight on d6 is hanging. That's why e takes d5. Then knight e7 check, king h8, and knight f5. Now we create we created a strong pin. If, for example, he plays rook fd8, how to play to be able to gain the material. Queen g3. Well, queen g3 right now is a mistake. Rook e7, queen c6. Now for rook e7 I have another move. Queen g3 threatens mate. Right, queen g3 threatens mate, but it's a mistake because of knight f5. Yes, and here inertia is correct. So rook e7 doesn't, sorry. Instead of queen g3, rook e7 doesn't work. For rook e7, at least we have rook e8. So here, for example, bishop d6 cannot be played because just rook e7. No. Bishop d6, queen c1 mate. Rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and we threaten a checkmate here. Well, if knight d6, then just rook e1. Knight f7, king g8. And black is winning. So yes, first we have to take with our knight on d6, rook d6, and then queen g3. And even if he plays this move, we can trade all the pieces on d6 and then deliver a back rank mate on e8. Okay, let's go back. So that's why to take on d6 was too risky, but actually knight d4, rook takes d4, and rook c8 could equalize the position. That's why Konstantin Sakayev preferred to sacrifice the queen for the initiative. And at this moment, Black realized that he was under the pressure. It's a kind of a psychological sacrifice because here Black is in the trouble. He can't find the best moves because all his pieces are passive, especially two rooks. And he has to think and play very accurate moves, and only in such a case he can maybe equalize or get slightly better position. But if he plays just a template moves like rook e8 like he did, then white can continue his kingside attack. So actually the best option was h6 in this position. Then, for example, knight e7 check king h7, rook takes on d5, and a5 with a counterplay. But rook e8. So the idea is obvious, and I think if you have just a few minutes to find a move, then you definitely play this option because it offers a trade, and we know if one side has extra material, it's usually better to trade the pieces off to simplify it and then to realize the material advantage in the end game. So knight e7 here. King f8 was played. Well, maybe king h8 is another possible move, but then rook d5, I think. So king f8, rook d5 anyway. Queen d7, another mistake. Again, h6 should be played. So h6 and he sacrifices on b5. This is what should be played. But then white is already better. So he plays queen d7. And how to continue? What do you think? Rook e d1. Knight g6. What's the idea of knight g6? Knight g6, h takes g6 at least. Both kings need a lift. Oh, here, okay, rook h5. Yes, rook h5 was a clever move. Oh, wait a sec. So first h3 was played. He has nothing to hurry, and then rook h5. Now, what happens in case of h6? Who knows? H6 should be played before to create an escape square for the king. And now rook can capture on h6. And if g captures h6, bishop h6 is a checkmate. And actually, after rook h6, we are threatening to deliver another mate on the h8. That's why rook e7 doesn't work. That's why he has to sacrifice the pawn on h7 and create an escape square for the king by playing f6. So we take the other pawn. Rook ed8, ad8, rook e3. So black has no ideas how to play because he almost has no moves. While rook e3 is a helpful move. First of all, the rook on e3 is protected, and we may play with our knight somewhere. G6, C, D5, C6. Or another idea of rook e3 move is to relocate it to G3. However, right now it's not so strong because then he would sacrifice his rook on e7. But he plays rook c8, and we just take. So if rook takes on c8, this move wasn't played in the game. How should we continue? What do you think? Rook h8, king f7. Rook e7. Okay, so rook h8, king f7. Rook e7, queen takes e7. And then black would have extra exchange in this variation. Yeah, rook e7 right now. Rook e7 right now should work because this is how we threaten a checkmate on h8. So if queen moves, rook h8 is a checkmate, and he has to sacrifice the queen, but then we have extra piece and win the game. Okay, so who thinks that rook e3 was a mistake? What about knight g6? You said knight g6, king f7. How to continue? So what was the idea of knight g6 instead of rook e3? Yes, this is a check, but what to do then? The knight is hanging. Rook e8, rook takes e8. No, I don't think it makes sense. Rook e7 now? No, at least king takes here. No, I don't know. Actually, it looks like white is winning in this position. Okay, let me improve it. Rook e7. No, let's take. No, I think pawn takes. If pawn takes, I capture here. If knight takes, what should I do? I can play queen e6. Yeah, why not? And then I want to sacrifice the material on d6. So no, it's not. It's not. Knight g6 doesn't work. It's not better. I didn't analyze this option, so that's why it took time for me now to find it. So rook e3, rook c8, he sacrifices the exchange, and if now rook c8, then rook e7, as we discussed. That's why this move wasn't played. Queen c8 is a mistake too, because rook e8, and then doesn't really matter which piece he takes. We play rook h8 and gain the queen. That's why he decided to trade. in this position, we have several ideas and many moves win, but rook h8 is the most exact continuation. King f7, the only move. And then after bishop e3, everything is protected. Almost the same thing happened in the game. He actually, instead of taking on e3, first played king g8. We played knight b6, attacking the queen. Queen moves to d8. Two our pieces are hanging, but we take on e8. Queen takes e8 and just escape. D7 first, queen d8, and then we escape with our rook. If, for example, he decides to take, how can we continue in this position to be able to win the game? Rook d5, queen d8. However, maybe it still makes sense. So rook d5, queen d8, and then bishop c7. Absolutely correct. However, the most simple way is just to play rook c5 and rook c8 on the next move. So you don't need to sacrifice your bishop. In the game, it was played g5 here instead of queen b6. Bishop e3. Now everything is supported, but he plays king g7. And here, for example, if you are have just second on your clock, then you may play g4 and then h4, opening the position. But Konstantin Sakaev played better. He played h4 earlier right now. And after king g6, what do you think he prepared? G4? No, at least G4 works. Yes, it's rook takes G5, another tricky move. And after this move, Sergei Rublevsky resigned. F takes G5, for example, this is how the game could be continued. Bishop takes G5, attacking the queen. So it doesn't make sense to trade the queen for a bishop. And if he takes here, then after D8 equals queen, white just has extra bishop plus 3 pawns. Okay, fine. So let's go back and look at the position. So this is a critical position where bishop b5 was played. And of course, the position is quite sharp and very complicated. So even well, of course, I believe that time Konstantin Sakaev was a top grandmaster as well as Sergei Rublevsky, but even a top grandmaster cannot calculate the line to the very end, because in this position there are several moves that black can play, and rook e8 is definitely not the best one. So when you make a kind of intuitive sacrifice, you should just keep in mind that this sacrifice is likely to work successfully in case if you see that your opponent has to defend for from 6 to 10 moves, because usually during this period of time he would make a mistake, and you will exploit this mistake and win the game. So you don't need to calculate the line to the very end, but if you see that at least you have some material compensation, like it was here, two minor pieces plus the d6 pawn, what equals 7, and the queen is 9, so it's -2, but a strong initiative. So, and then black has to defend his position for several moves, and of course he is likely to make a mistake because the position is quite complicated. However, here Sergei Rublevsky, who was at that moment, who was almost 2700, and that was a classical game, so he made several mistakes in a row. Rook e8 and queen d7. These were his mistakes. What would happen if h6 instead of rook d8? d7, h3. Oh, here, then just rook h6 sacrifice. Okay, Daniel. Yes, I know. Sometimes you have even three to seven blunders and about five mistakes. Um, yeah, I know. I know. Okay, fine. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. Let me close it because the second game we are going to analyze is the game that Gary Kasparov played against Joseph Prishbul. So it's difficult to pronounce this um, uh, Czech last name. So here it's written Pribel, but actually we should pronounce it as Prishbul without E sound. Okay, so coordinates are working. Okay, so it's a good idea to make sacrifices when you have the attack. Well, sometimes you can also make sacrifice when you have the initiative. It's not obligatory an attack, uh, just when your opponent is under the pressure and has to defend. Okay, fine. So let's continue. This is the game that Gary Kasparov played. That was a team match between Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia. Okay. Okay, let's start. So d4. Gary played d4. That was Greenfield defense. That is quite popular even nowadays. Knight d5, e4, knight takes c3, b takes c3, bishop g7. Knight f3 and c5 is the most common move. Castle is another option, but b6 was played by black, and here Gary decided to make an intermediate check, bishop b5, forcing black to play c6, and then he plays bishop c4. Actually, his original idea was to play bishop c4, but he decided that this maneuver c7, c6 would block the bishop on b7 and makes black position a little bit weaker. Okay, fine. So castle. Actually, instead of castling in this position, queen e2 could make sense to prevent this light squared bishop trade. Okay, castle, bishop a6, bishop takes, knight takes, queen a4 looks like a logical move. Bishop g5 was another option, but queen a4, so we force black queen to get to a passive position on c8 where it has to defend everything. And the knight has to stay there because it can't go to c7. Bishop g5, attacking the e7 pawn. Maybe rook f to rook e8 could make sense here, but queen b7 was played, rook f e1, and e6. Not the best moves, but today we are not going to analyze the entire game. Our task is just to focus on the main things and especially on the moment where intuitive sacrifice was applied. Rook a b1. Oh, so it's a pin on the b file. So in some variation c5 wouldn't work, but c5 was played here. It's not a mistake. And what happened then? So this is the question for you. What white should play on the next move? And what is black plan? So here Gary Kasparov decided that black is about to start a counterplay. That's why we should make something really something that really forces our opponent to play in a certain way. Oh yeah, it's about sacrifices, of course. So today I'm not satisfied of my lighting. I looks like I tried to do my best, but I still see that there is a shadow on my face. So bishop e7 to trade the bishop for a knight, but wait a sec. Bishop e7, and then you want to take on c5. So queen e7 has to be played. I see. Rudy suggests d5. No, queen a6 is it's too risky at this moment. So bishop e7, this is what makes sense. Because if something like rook e8, just bishop c5 could work. However, knight c5, and then maybe just bishop c3. No, I think this position is in white favor. So bishop e7, queen e7, queen a6, rook ac8, and it's approximately equal. No, it looks like it's not bishop e7. Okay, here Rudy was correct. d5 was played on the board. Why d5? Because if, for example, he plays this move to support it, then f5 leads to a counterplay. For example, e takes f5 and rook takes f5. So then he may block on d5, and both sides have weaknesses. White has a weakness on d4, black has a weakness on e6. So d5, he decided to sacrifice on c3. And this pawn was immediately taken. Rook d1, e takes d5, e takes d5, and in this position, I think black made a mistake. So it's just a pawn sacrifice, so who cares? It's okay. We often sacrifice pawns for the initiative, even if we don't see that this initiative can lead to something really dangerous for our opponent. So what do you think should be played in this position? Bishop h6? No, it's black to move. Bishop d4, but bishop d4, knight d4. C takes d4, queen takes d4, and then there are so many weaknesses on your dark squares. Knight b4, what's the idea of such a move? Knight b4, you attack on d5. But I'll just play d6. No. If you do like that, I'll play a3, and you are unable to capture on d5. So I show you knight b4. Okay, knight b4, a3. If you take here on d5, then I can play queen e4. Okay? Because I control the d8. But you can play h6, and looks like I have to accept it, and then rook fd8 is fine. But if I play queen b3, attacking two pieces simultaneously, then I may get an advantage. So bishop d4 to sacrifice the pawn back. Okay, so knight b4 definitely deserves attention. This is an interesting move. Knight c7, this is what I wanted you to find. Because the knight on the edge of the board doesn't really do anything. Then bishop e7, for example, rook e8, queen d7, threatening with d6, but rook b8 and d6 is not a big threat because he goes to e6 with his knight. Then queen takes queen, rook takes, and then of course we are about to play d7, but he can stop it with bishop d4. And then after all the trades, the position can be even in a black favor, because black is one pawn up. No, d4 definitely dies, but the b6 is the extra pawn. So knight c7 wasn't played. Instead, bishop went home, bishop g7. Oh, I believe many of you would prefer this move because the bishop on c3 looks like the object of the attack, while on g7 it's on his best place. But to activate the knight was more important in this position. Now d6, of course, f6. What do you think? How Gary played in this position? What ideas do you have? Okay, what do you mean the game is so small? Where are you looking on it? It's full HD resolution. It shouldn't be small. Yes, if you experience any problems with internet, you may relog in. So queen h4, queen h4. I see the idea of queen h4. No, it's not queen h4. So you think queen h4, then f takes g5 and knight takes g5. And so h6 just after that, and it's fine. Okay, you also here suggest queen c4 check, but what this move does right now, he can just move to h8 and that's it. So okay, I'll do queen h4, f takes g5, knight takes g5, and then h6, but bishop f6 is a better move because we still have the defense. d7, this is how you can interfere the 7th rank, but who cares? Just take queen take, and let's do this move. I am about to take on the next move. If needed, rook f7 can be played. No, rook f7 can be played in case if you decide to support it with this move, then rook f7. And black is winning. So no, not queen h4. What else you suggested? Queen c4 was the other option. But queen h4, king h8. Yeah, queen c4, king h8. Yes, queen c4 has some ideas behind it, but Gary played d7. And in this position, black decided to take on g5, so he accepted this sacrifice. However, there are several lines that we should definitely analyze, but they are behind from the game. So they are hidden. So rook ad8, that was the best solution, as I believe, for black in this position. Then we continue with queen c4. King moves to the edge, to the corner, and then knight e5. So one piece was hanging, now two of them are hanging. How to deal with it? What black should do? What do you think? Capture one of the pieces? Which one is best to capture? The knight. Resign. Come on, Sheldon. It's too early to resign. I actually analyzed your today's game against Vitaly, and I can say that you didn't play well at all. f5 was a weird move. Okay, taking knight is good. Okay, guys, but let's calculate both lines. F takes e5, bishop d8. Wait, okay, rook takes d8. Then queen f7 looks good, but queen f7 allows queen c6 to be played. However, instead of queen f7, we can play queen e6 with the same idea, and then there is no queen c6 move. Now we're threatening with queen e8, it's obvious. What can he do? He can play queen c7, for example. Then we play rook b3 with the idea to relocate the rook. So f3 or h3 depends on how black plays, but for example, e4, rook h3, queen e5, queen g6, h6, g4. You see, even with a few tempers here, black can't really create anything to save his position. After g5, he loses the game. Instead of queen c7, we can try knight c7. That secures the e8 square. However, it's not a good move. We play queen e7, he has to play queen b8, and then we do the same thing. e4. In this position, rook h3 doesn't really make much sense, but rook e3 is fine with the idea to take. Bishop d4, rook takes e4. And then we just take on d4 and checkmate with queen f6 and rook e7. Okay, there was a question. Queen c7, rook b3, e4, rook. In this position, why not queen e8? Sorry, instead of rook b3, why not queen e8? Well, queen e8, just bishop f8. And what? How to continue? Looks like it was a useless move. Rook h6 at which moment? When the queen was on e5. Okay, let's go back. Rook h3, queen e5. Queen g6, h6. So rook h6, but bishop takes h6. Queen takes, king g8, and what? d7 is hanging. Because of the back rank mate. No. Okay. So knight c7 was analyzed. Queen b8 was another option, but looks like there is no big difference. However, maybe it was the best option. Rook b3, c4. Rook goes there. Then knight c5, attacking the queen. Queen g6, h6. Rook g3, and then he has no pieces to defend on g7. No, that wasn't the best one. Okay, so looks like in this case, if he captures on e5, he loses the game in all the variations. If he captures on g5, then of course knight f7, king g8 is leads to a smothered mate. Okay, yes, Daniel. Today will be only 3 games because last time we analyzed just the fragments. However, today we analyze the whole games, and they are so complicated. So rook f7, queen f7. We are threatening with queen e8, queen c6 to stop it. Rook b3. What can be played in this position? So, for example, queen f6 can be played. In such a case, we give a check queen f8 and then play rook e3, knight c7, and even double the rooks on the e file, supporting the queen. So he takes. Then we. What's the best move here. Then we capture on. I'm not sure if this is the best option. I think we should capture here, play d8, bishop takes d8, and then after rook d1, we have extra exchange for 2 pawns. Now, I would say white is better, but it's still a playable position. For example, rook e to e8 didn't work. In such a case, just rook f7. And it's, no, of course, d8 can be played then. He sacrifices the bishop, then one of the rook takes, but knight c3. So I think with the rook on f7, the position is safer for black. So the next webinar will be next Sunday. Okay, let's go back. I'm not sure if Gary Kasparov calculated everything, but of course he kept in mind some of these lines. So rook f, okay, here queen c6 and knight c7. No, knight c7 was another option. Rook e3, h5, and g4. What do you think? What if h captures on g4? How white should play? h3. I think it's not obligatory for black to capture on h3. Maybe queen f6 would be played. No, there is definitely something better for white. Rook e7, rook e7. Rook f7, queen f6. Actually, rook e7 could be played even without g4 move. Okay, Rishi is correct. It's just rook d to d3 with the idea to play rook h3. Nothing can stop this checkmate in this position. Okay, fine. Let's go back. G4. If, for example, queen a4, rook d6, queen g4, king f1, then we just have to defend against the checkmate. And after a few moves, black realizes that there is no other check, and d8 is coming. So probably like that, but d8, and here, of course, white wins. So there was only one line where a black could get approximately equal position without the exchange, but with 2 pawns as a compensation. However, in the game, rook a to d8 wasn't played, and Prishbil accepted this sacrifice. He took on g5. Queen c4 check, king h8, knight takes g5 with knight f7. Bishop f6. Knight comes to e6. Knight f7 doesn't really make any sense right now. So rook g8 in this position is not a good choice because we play queen f4, and it's difficult to suggest a good spot for the bishop if it goes somewhere on this diagonal. Then queen e5 wins the game. If he goes somewhere here, then we can just play d8. Oh, rook b3 first. Yeah, rook b3. How could I forget about rook b3? Yeah, looks like, yeah, this is the key move of the position. So rook g8 wasn't played, of course. Knight c7 was played instead. Knight takes f8, rook takes f8. So what do we have? Rook versus 2 minor pieces. Rook d6. Well, queen c5 was a possible continuation, but definitely not the best one. Then bishop e7. So, and here we applied a really beautiful tactical idea. D8 equals queen. Oh, okay. Why can I? What's going on? I can't make the move on the board. Okay, so yes, so actually I'm using a MacBook, but I had to run ChessBase. That's why I had to install Windows on my virtual machine, and that's why maybe it's lagging. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's going on? I still can't make the move. Looks like it's frozen. Oh, yeah. Okay, d8 equals queen. If rook captures d8, then rook takes rook, bishop takes rook, and queen f7, threatening with a checkmate on f8, or at least we gain the exchange by playing this move. Queen d5, knight d5, and rook d1. White is winning. So that's why in the game it was bishop d5. However, this is a mistake. We first play queen c3, king goes to g8, then we pin and threaten a checkmate on g7. He has to play this move, and now I want you to find how Garry Kasparov could gain the material. Actually, he gained, but then instead of taking it, he decided to checkmate. What do you think? What move he played? Queen g3 to put the pressure on this pin, but I don't think it would work because rook f7 can be played in such a case. Rook f7, queen b3. No, not rook f7. Okay, you suggested this move, but I think, yes, he can either play queen e4 to unpin or just rook c8. So it's not queen g3. Queen c5. Queen c5, he can just trade the queens and then move the knight. I still believe black can draw the game after that. At least draw the game. So no, not queen b3. And of course not rook b3. Rishi suggests queen c4. Rishi, could you please explain the idea? Okay, so queen c4 and what then? It's rook b3. No, it's not. So queen c4, this is what was played in the game. King h8. And no, it's not rook b3. It's queen f4. So two pins are created simultaneously. And at the same time, we stop queen e4. So he can't play bishop d8, the rook is hanging. He can't play rook c8, the bishop is hanging. And we are about to take on c7. Of course, the best move in this position was something like that, and then we just take on c7 and play the position with extra exchange. Like that, then g3, king g2, and unpin. But for some reason, black decided to play queen a6 and lost the game on the next move. After queen h6, there is no defense. So this is how Garry Kasparov sacrificed the piece by intuition. That was the moment. So he decided to push the pawn forward and take the advantage of knight standing on g5 or e5 together with queen c4. So rook a d8 could be the best option, but even here, queen c4 and knight e5 could be played. and it led to a better position for white. However, even there, black had only one chance to succeed. Of course, I really doubt that Prishbal would found this move on the board when he played this game. It can be only found after that, maybe with the help of several grandmasters or the engine. So, and it's absolutely impossible to calculate all these lines with rook a d8, f takes g5 to the very end. However, Gary just understood that at least black had to defend. What about knight g6 in this position? Oh, wait a sec. When? Instead of what? It's now black to move. So now knight g6 doesn't make sense. No, there is no smothered mate because knight f7, rook takes f7. Okay, fine. So I'm closing this game because we have at least one more game to analyze today. This is the game between Evgeny Vladimirov and Mikhail Tal. How do you develop this intuition? I think it's a kind of a mix of some psychology when you feel the psychology of your opponent, like when you feel his behavior. For example, I was playing in Corsica and I really played badly, but when I was playing black and when I played b5, my opponent, probably he was too scared because he had to play against a strong player while he was only 2000 and I was 2200. So after I played b5 with black pawn, he played a3 to stop it. That's why I realized that, okay, so looks like he is afraid of me. And if I play aggressively, he would have to defend. And this is what happened later. I played h5 on the other side of the board, and he played h3. So you see? And of course, I told you this is the mix of feeling the behavior of your opponent and, of course, a tactical vision. If you don't have a tactical vision or if your tactical vision is poor, then you'd better avoid sacrifices by intuition, but play in a more positional way. Yes, I have some plans to become an international master, but not now. As for the internet, for the online games, but you see the move. You can judge by the moves. I can't say anything about my opponent just looking at him because he tries to hide his feelings and emotions. But I can understand the psychology by analyzing his moves and trying to reveal the idea behind these moves. I can see tactics, but I can't see them in a game. Please help. Okay, so what can I suggest? You should create your opening repertoire and then take a book. For example, like if you play Sicilian, you should take a book, Tactics in Sicilian Defense. When I was younger, I played French defense and I took a book, Tactics in French Defense, just to learn the tactical ideas that can be applied. And you just learn these patterns, and from time to time, the positions that you play are quite similar to what is explained in the books, and this is how you learn tactics. What about your game rating? You mean mine? I think my blitz is about 2200. My rapid is 2250, maybe something like that. And on Lichess, my blitz rating is 2400. Okay, fine. So this is the game that Mikhail Tal played. He played with black pieces. That's why we have to flip the board. D4, knight f6. So we don't care about this opening, but that was Benoni defense. G6, knight c3, bishop g7. before castle. As for me, I consider Benoni to be in white favor, but of course the position is quite complicated. It was Evgeny Vladimirov playing against Mikhail Tal. That guy was also grandmaster. The game was played in Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. It's actually it was a rapid tournament. Oh, there, yeah, that was a rapid. Okay, knight f3, d6, h3, a6, a4 to prevent b5. My voice is freezing, so it's probably because of your internet connection. Please relog in and come back. Or maybe it's because of my internet connection. What about other participants, guys? Is it okay? Can you hear me? It's fine. Okay, so e6, bishop d3, it takes d5, it takes d5. So sometimes c takes d5 can be played here, and it's even better. But usually at this moment, white is already castled. Okay, rook e8, bishop a3, knight h5, knight comes to f4. In future, this is the plan. Castle, knight d7. This knight goes to e5. This is another typical idea for Benoni defense. Queen d2, knight e5, knight e5. In this position, rook takes e5. Oh, the rook is not the object of the attack. So bishop h6 was played, and that was a mistake. What do you think black could do in this position? So please don't forget that this is rapid chess, and at that time rapid was 20 minutes per the game, 20 minutes per side. So, well, bishop h8 is a typical solution in such a case, but no, Mikhail Tal found the better way. This is where he applied a tactical strike, and I want you to find it. However, even Mikhail Tal was unable to calculate the line to the very end. Bishop h3, you suggest g5, bishop h6, followed by queen h4. Almost correct. You're very, very close. Rook, bishop h3, rook g5. Okay, now first let's look at this position. Bishop h6, queen h6, rook g5. So the queen is trapped, but actually not, because f4 can be played at any moment. Maybe not f4, but knight e4. Knight e4 is the best option, and then the rook has... Then f4 on the next move. For rook e5, then f4, and then knight comes to g5. And the white is much, much better. So what happened in the game? Here, after queen h6, bishop h3 was played. This is the intuitive sacrifice. G takes h3 and queen h4. So not queen h4 immediately, but first we have to take on h3 to open the g file to be ready to play g5 in one move. Okay, so knight e4 can be played, I think, in this position. But knight e4, then no, definitely not queen h3. Queen h3 is a blunder. Can you tell me why? No, it's not knight g5. If knight g5 now, then I think queen g4. and queen captures g5. Knight f6. Yes, knight f6. Knight f6 to gain the queen. Knight f6, so either it's a checkmate or knight has to capture and then the queen is lost. But after knight e4, we can just take on e4 and take with the queen. Then we are slightly better. Take the other pawn, so then d5 is a weakness. There is no kingside attack for white. So, no. Another option is maybe f4. This move also deserves attention, but actually is a mistake. So f4 with a pawn. So no, not queen f4, sorry. f4, but rook e3. Bishop e4, rook takes h3. Threatening to play queen g3, rook h, queen g3, queen h2 maybe. Queen g3, he blocks with the rook or with the bishop. If he blocks with his rook, then queen e3. He blocks with the bishop and queen h2. He goes there, and after knight g3, we gain the queen. That's the idea. So in all these lines, we are able to play knight g3 with a check and gain the queen on h6. I think Vladimirov played an accuracy. He played king h2 in this position. How to continue? What do you think? Right. Rook g5. G5. Oh, knight e2 was played. Bishop e2 is not a good choice. Queen f4. King goes h1. And then after rook g1, we take the queen. And then we have enough extra material to win. So actually, that's why knight e2 was played, to secure the f4 spot. Rook e8 with the idea to just capture on e2. And this is where white lost his last chance. Instead of playing rook a3 to take the control over the third rank and play rook g3 in some of the lines, for example, I'll show you this, and if now queen f4, then rook g3 can be played. Knight g3, queen g5. No, that's a mistake. No, then, okay, knight g3, how to play? Wait a sec. No, rook g3 is not a good choice here, but this move can be played. And if now this move, rook g1, then king takes g1, queen takes h6, bishop h5, queen takes h5, and with this rook active on a3, white is fine. Now, of course, black is better, but at least this is a playable position. So what about rook g2 and knight e4 on the next move? But that will be too much material. 2 rooks plus bishop. No. What did Gem find? No, actually, no, he didn't match rook a3. Or probably he decided that there is no big difference between this move and the move that was played on the board. Rook a2 e1, rook e2, bishop e2, queen f4, king h1, and no, not rook g1, because rook g1 leads to approximately the similar position. Now black is better, but it's not a winning position. It's a playable position. That's why here he plays queen e4 check. So if king moves, then queen g2 and the game is over. Oh, f3 is the only move. Queen h4, threatening to take on h3. He has to play queen g5. There is no defense. For example, king h2, queen check, king moves to h1, queen h3 mate. No. So queen g5 looks to be the only move. Oh, maybe the other option is to sacrifice here, but no, that's not a good move. Queen takes g5, then we take here, and after he moves, we take again with a check, and with extra piece win this endgame. So queen h4, queen g5, queen takes g5, rook g1, but you see, comparing to the previous position, here we have the knight on the board, and this knight helps us to continue the attack. Queen d2, king g2, knight f4, he plays to f1, and knight h3 with the idea, just to capture the pawn and keep in mind the checkmate on f2. Rook g4, h5 attacking the rook comes to the center, then queen g5, or maybe we could capture the other pawn on b2. Bishop goes there, then another check, king e2, and after queen f2, knight, king d3, we just capture on b2 and win this game because of absolutely winning position. So too many pawns plus queen, and the king is quite weak. So knight f2 is coming. This is the other option. Absolutely winning. There is nothing to say about this position. So for example, he gives a check, king g7. What's then? The bishop is restricted. f4 means knight f4. Rook e2 is faced with this move. If in this position, rook e2, then knight f2 looks good, because after king e3, knight just takes on d1, and this is a winning position. So absolutely winning. Rook e7, what for? Rook e7, what can I take? I can play this move. King goes there, then queen d4. No, at least here, then take, rook takes, take here, then take the a4 pawn, absolutely winning, with no chances at all. Yeah, too many threats. So the key idea of this sacrifice was to play bishop h3 and queen h4. And of course, it was impossible to calculate everything in a rapid game. That's why this sacrifice is called intuitive sacrifice. Okay, so guys, do you have any questions? If you have any suggestions of what to cover on the next webinar, you may contact me by email. It's tricksofchess@gmail.com. Yeah, but usually we sacrifice the bishop on h2, not on h3. How to handle weakness in own camp while attacking? Now, are you talking about king weaknesses? I had a webinar already that was devoted to it. So the task was to have a stable center, to not allow the opponent to open the position and attack our king. If the king is castled to the other side, then it's always better to block the pawn structure on that side where our king is and open the position on the side where the enemy king is located. We can do it with a pawn march on that side. Okay, yes, I will. run a simul. Okay, guys, thank you for your attention. Please invite your friends to the webinar. At least we need 50 participants. So today the maximum was about 40. Okay, thank you for your attention. That's all for today. And so don't forget to visit my blog on my own webpage. So, and so also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is the link. Okay, thank you.